All right, welcome in everyone to another deep dive. We're going to be tackling something pretty important today, and that's, the tax system in country name.
Always a fun topic.
Always a fun topic, right? Taxes, who doesn't love them? But specifically, we're going to be looking at this whole thing surrounding a 5% tax. It's been, making the rounds in the news.
Yeah, a lot of questions about it for sure.
Lots of questions. And thankfully, we're basing our deep dive today on a conversation with a tax expert that was published in Source Name.
Yeah, they really break things down in a helpful way.
Yeah, really helpful. So, think of this as like your shortcut to, expert knowledge without having to, sift through all the legal jargon yourself.
Exactly.
So, one of the things that we want to make sure we're all clear on today is how taxes apply to your savings. Right?
Hopefully.
You've been diligently saving up. We want to make sure that you understand how those savings might be impacted, especially with this whole 5% tax thing.
Right. It's important to have the full picture.
So imagine, right? You've hit that magic million dirham mark. Congratulations.
Big milestone.
Huge milestone, right? You've been saving, for years, maybe even decades.
Right.
But now the question pops up, is that entire amount, that million dirhams, going to be taxed again? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's a big concern for a lot of people.
Right. Help us untangle this a little bit.
Sure. Well, first, we got to look at, the foundation of country names tax law.
Okay, so back to basics.
Yeah. And specifically, the finance law and, the tax administration's memo, both of those are found in December's official gazette.
Okay, so these are like the key documents?
Yeah, these are the pillars, really, to understand how things work.
Okay, so we're digging into the legal documents here.
Right. Because it's all there in black and white.
Okay, so even if I've paid taxes on my income already, there's still a chance it could be taxed again when I save it. Is that what we're saying here?
Well, not exactly. This is where this really important concept called settlement awareness comes in.
Settlement awareness. Okay, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, it can be a bit, a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But think of it this way. You wouldn't pay sales tax on the same item over and over again, right?
Of course not.
Like you buy a shirt, you pay the tax, that's it.
Yeah, you're not going back and paying sales tax on the shirt every time you wear it.
Exactly. So similarly, with settlement awareness, once you've, paid taxes on your income, you generally don't have to pay tax on that same income again just because you're, saving it.
Okay, so that's starting to make a little bit more sense.
Uh-huh.
So like with my million dirhams, if those savings came from, income that was already taxed, like my salary,
Right.
or investments where I already paid taxes on the gains, I wouldn't be taxed again on that same money, right?
That's the idea. You've got to, it's all about the origin of the money.
The origin.
Yeah. Where did it come from? And if it was, if it's already been taxed, then you're good.
Okay, I'm following you.
Now, let's apply this settlement awareness thing to some real world scenarios, all right? From the source material. Imagine, you sell company shares and you make a profit.
Okay, yeah, common scenario.
Yeah. You're only going to pay tax on the profit, not the entire sale amount.
Right. So it's not like the entire amount I receive suddenly becomes taxable just because I decided to sell?
Exactly. That's the key takeaway.
Okay.
Another example, receiving compensation.
Okay.
So if this compensation comes after taxes were already deducted, like a court-ordered payment, you're in the clear. No additional taxes.
Got it. So no double taxation.
Right. No double dipping.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's reassuring to know that, I wouldn't be, getting slammed with taxes on the same income over and over again.
Right.
But I am curious about this specific 5% tax we keep hearing about.
Yeah, the big question.
Does that apply to like every type of business income? Like is that across the board?
Well, the expert in the source, they explain that this 5% tax, it specifically targets income from activities like commerce, rent, and sales.
So essentially like business income.
Yeah, essentially, it's aimed at business income, but there are nuances. For example, the source mentions some exceptions, like certain agricultural activities, they're actually exempt from this 5% tax.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so there are exceptions. It's not as simple as just like, boom, 5% on everything.
Right. Tax laws, they're rarely simple.
Yeah, it sounds like they can get pretty complex.
Oh, absolutely. But that's, that's why we're here, to kind of break it down a bit.
Right, to make it digestible.
And remember, these are general principles, okay? You can always refer back to those resources we mentioned earlier.
Right, the December Gazette.
The December Gazette, the Tax Administration memo,
Hmm.
for more specific details.
Okay, so those are like our like tax law decoder ring.
Exactly. Because everyone's situation's a bit different.
Good point. Now, I've got a question about a hypothetical situation here. Let's say someone has been earning income from their art for years.
Okay, an artist. Interesting.
Yeah, performances, shows, the whole deal. Would all of the income they earned over their lifetime certainly be subject to this 5% tax now? Like, how does that work?
That's where things get interesting. It is a thought-provoking question for sure, and it really highlights how the specifics of the tax law they can get a bit intricate.
Right. Yeah, it's not always black and white.
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
Now, the source material, it doesn't directly address this lifetime earnings scenario, but let's try to connect it back to that core principle we've been discussing: settlement awareness.
Right. So even though the artist has earned, income over many years,
Yeah.
we need to look at whether those earnings were already subject to taxation, when they were initially generated.
Exactly. That's the key point. Now the source doesn't, dive into all the different types of artistic income, but let's think about some possibilities here. What if they primarily sell their artwork?
Okay, so like paintings, sculptures, that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Those sales, they could potentially fall under the category of business income, similar to, the examples we were talking about earlier.
So potentially subject to that 5% tax, depending on how the law is interpreted in that specific context.
Precisely. But let's say the artists, they earn most of their income from performing.
Okay, yeah, like a musician or an actor.
Right, right. Things might get a little bit more nuanced there.
Yeah, I can see how that could be tricky.
Yeah, because the tax implications, they could vary depending on how those performances are structured. Are they employed by, a theater company, or are they working as an independent contractor? It makes a difference.
Right, because that would change like who's responsible for withholding taxes and all that.
Exactly. So there are a lot of factors to consider.
Yeah, it seems like there's always like another layer of complexity when it comes to taxes.
There is, but don't let it overwhelm you.
Okay, good advice.
The main takeaway is that understanding the source of income and whether it was already taxed, that's crucial for determining, how taxes apply.
Okay, so even if the artist has earned, a significant amount over their lifetime, the tax authorities wouldn't just automatically look at their total savings and demand a portion of it.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. It's not about taxing your overall wealth. It's about taxing the income you generate from specific sources, and whether those sources were already subject to taxation.
Okay. That makes me feel a lot better.
If-
I'm starting to feel much more confident
Yeah.
about navigating all of this.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how these principles apply to different scenarios.
Yeah, it is. And while this deep dive, it focuses on country name system, and specifically this 5% tax. Remember that many of these foundational principles, they apply in other countries as well.
Oh, that's helpful to keep in mind. So for anyone listening who might be in a similar situation, this information could be relevant to them too.
Absolutely. But even within country names tax system, there's always more to learn. I encourage you, to really delve deeper into that December Gazette, the tax administration memo.
Yeah.
Really get the full picture. Those documents, they will provide, comprehensive details and help you understand how the laws, specifically apply to your own unique situation.
Right, because like we were saying before, everyone's situation is different.
Exactly.
Okay, those resources, they're like my personal tax law decoder ring. I'm gonna have to dig into those.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to managing your finances.
Absolutely. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. It's amazing how much we've uncovered just by looking at this one, 5% tax and the principles behind it.
It really highlights how interconnected these these concepts are. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought. We've talked extensively about the source of income, but what about the purpose?
Oh, that's interesting. I'm intrigued. What are you getting at? Yeah, I'm really curious to hear more about this idea of the purpose of income. It's not something I've ever really considered in relation to taxes.
Right. We've been looking at examples like selling shares or receiving compensation, where the financial aspect is front and center. But what about someone like the artist we were discussing? Their income comes from creating and performing. But the purpose,
Right.
it might go beyond simply making money. It could be about self-expression, about sharing their perspective with the world, or even inspiring others.
Right, right. So you're saying that the motivation behind earning income, it could be just as important as the source of that income.
It's a nuanced point for sure. And the source material doesn't explicitly delve into this, but as you're thinking about, your long-term financial goals, it's an interesting dimension to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, this deep dive has really made me think about taxes in a whole new way.
Mm.
I've gone from feeling, intimidated by it all to actually feeling, empowered to understand how it applies to my own situation.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, this deep dive, it's just the starting point.
Yep.
We've given you a framework for understanding the key principles, highlighted some specific details from the source material, but there's always more to learn.
You're right. The December Gazette and the tax administration memo are definitely going on my reading list.
Yes. Those resources, they'll give you a much deeper understanding of the intricacies of the tax law. And as you continue to build your savings and pursue your financial goals, those details, they'll become increasingly important.
Yeah, I'm already feeling more confident about navigating this whole thing. Thanks to this deep dive, I'm not just blindly saving. I'm saving with a deeper understanding of how taxes fit into the equation.
That's what we're here for. We hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and the confidence to approach your financial journey with a clearer perspective. And remember, the world of finance, it's constantly evolving. So stay curious, keep learning, and never stop exploring.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Country Name's tax system. We hope you found this exploration insightful and maybe even spark some new questions. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into fascinating topics. Until then, happy learning.